If you're still on the island at the end of the day, you'll be trespassing. And you may be shot.
Welcome to Decoding TV's coverage of Alien Earth, Episode 6, entitled The Fly. Patrick Klepek, your quick reaction to this episode of the show.
You know what? I feel like a lot of people are going to have very understandable complaints about what a scientist does, what they should do or not do in a situation. And I'm just choosing to take that, put it in a little bottle, twist that cap on real tight, throw it to the side. Because otherwise I'm all on board with the questions that Alien Earth is asking, and I am fascinated to find out the answers. It will likely all, in all likelihood, involve a lot of violence and a lot of blood and a lot of death, but this still feels like we're setting up just all these little traps that are about to go off in the show in the most delightful way. And the fact that it's doing that, and I'm excited just to see, wow, they probably spent a lot of money on the gore that's about to occur in the next two episodes, combined with just some really fascinating questions about what it means to be alive, what is life, what is consciousness. I feel so much better about where the show is now than where it was at the start. It took a while to find its footing, but I am very anxious to see the result of everything that it's been setting up over the course of these 6 episodes. With only 2 left, not a ton actually has to happen. It's a nice place to be with a show where it's like, okay, I actually see how all this could resolve over the next 2 episodes. Whereas frequently I feel like you and I are talking about shows, it's like, wow, 2 episodes to go. Okay, a lot of subplots, well, not really. We're kind of focused in on this one place. A bunch of bad shit is about to happen. But I am really interested to see how it weaves together these really high-minded philosophical questions with just the basis level of you want to see something real gross? You want to see something real gross? I do. And that's a fun place to be with the story, because that is, it's just 100% the stuff that I love to watch. And it's rare to get it this expensive and this thoughtful. So I'm all in on Alien Earth and now continue to be.
Well, I can now confess to you and to the public something horrible that happened to me when I first got the screeners for Alien Earth. They delivered 6 episodes to me and many other reviewers. And I clicked play on the first episode and I watched it and I was thinking to myself, wow, this is amazing. I love this. This is next level storytelling. And there's so many references to things that aren't shown on screen, like stuff that happened days ago.
Avant-garde storytelling.
I'm like, it's like, there's this these androids are acting. Well, anyway, point being, it's like there's references to stuff that happened days ago, and it's like we haven't seen those events yet. This is so they drop you into the situation in medias res. I love it, Noah Hawley.
Did you watch the whole episode?
And it was only after I got to the end of the episode that I realized that the episodes were organized in reverse chronological order, and I accidentally watched episode 6 instead of episode 1. So this is actually the first episode of the show that I ever watched.
Wow.
And
well.
And let me tell you this, I loved this episode, and actually I have to say probably enjoyed it more than a lot of the other episodes. Now, having said that, one of the things that I kind of realized when I then went back and started watching it from the beginning was, wow, not very much time has elapsed in the show, right? It's been a week, right? Like not very much time has, or it's not been months and months. It's wow, this show takes place over the course of just a few days, pretty much. And that was a little surprising to me. I was kind of hoping for something that was a little bit more grand in scope and in terms of how it evolved. But and looking back on it now, I'm also a little disappointed. Honestly, episode 5 was such a fun, cool episode. We talked about it last week, so well executed, but really took time away from developing the characters and ideas that the rest of the show deals with. In a way that I was not a fan of. So this is a very fun episode. Some really interesting subplots that are hopefully going to be delivered on in the next couple episodes. Some references to other Alien movies that we can get into as well that I appreciated. So I like this episode. Again, it was the first episode I watched. I've watched it again for this conversation, but I was a fan. And obviously, it's setting us up for, I think, a very chaotic final 2 episodes. The open question for me is Noah Hawley going to be able to deliver something satisfying amongst all these kind of interesting ideas that he's brought up? Like, are we going to get to the end of the season and feel like, wow, like, that was a really thought-provoking season of television that delivered on its premise? Open question. We will see. So far, I think it's been kind of a rocky path, but there's
I feel
potential.
better about where we're at than we're like. It's in the beginning. I didn't know what questions it was even asking. At least now, like, I like the questions that it's asking. Whether I get good answers, I don't know.
Right.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
that was my mixed reaction to the opening 2 episodes was, and at least now it's like,
yeah.
But it still could be by the end.
Beautifully said. And you got to watch this at youtube.com/atdecodingtv to get the fullness of Patrick Klepek's facial reaction there. All right, so let's talk about what happened this episode. After the troubling events of episode 5, Adam, who is, let's just call him Boy Cavalier's henchman, requests a full memory wipe of Nibs. He asks them to dial back her reactions to stimulus, slow her processing speed, basically change her entire personality. And Arthur objects to this because that would go against the ethos of the project they're undertaking. But his wife, Dame Sylvia, says that she can do everything that is necessary for this project to succeed. And therefore, Arthur is fired summarily. I just got to say, not cool, Dame Sylvia. Not cool. Like, really throwing your husband under the bus there. What did she think would happen? That was the thing that I was surprised by. She says, yes, I can do it. You don't need my husband to be here. And then he's like, okay, good, you're fired. And then she's like, what? It's like, what did you think was going to happen?
This ruthless corporation?
when you disobeyed a direct order and then you're like, but it's okay, you don't actually need him to be here. Like, oh, okay, well, we'll just pay him to disobey our orders then. Like, what?
So many leopards in this facility. Like, why are they coming from my face?
That was a little bit silly. Like, I understand the idea of Dame Sylvia saying, hey, I can take over for my husband, because she's so committed to the project. Like, she loves the project. She's so committed to it. She's like, I do not want us to be taken off the project. I get that. But then being shocked that Arthur is fired, very silly.
There's just not enough time spent with these 2 characters, right? Like, there's nothing wrong, technically speaking, right? Like, this makes sense given the characters we've seen and their motivations. Right. But like, we mentioned in an earlier episode, the scene where they're like hashing things out philosophically, what feels like randomly, almost like inserted as like, oh, it almost had a reshoot quality to it, which I'm not saying it was, but it was like, we don't give enough time for these characters to sort of establish any emotional relationship with the audience. So yes, I can look at her and go, that makes sense that she would make this decision because she looks at herself as a parental figure to all of these characters. But it's just any heart wrench I'm supposed to feel over like the breakup of their relationship. It doesn't land at all because these characters are plot devices more than they are, fully formed characters, which is too bad because I think I like that element of the show. It teases at the ethics and the broader philosophical questions the show has, and you sort of need you need characters that exist to sort of like put their hand up so the audience can like work through those questions. And the only one that really gives that is fleshed out is Wendy's brother. Like he's the other stand-in for like, like how should we treat these people,
right?
So that part it didn't work for me as much as I think it could.
Yeah, agreed. I also just like do not buy them as a couple at all.
No
like,
chemistry.
They have no chemistry.
You've never had sex. You just haven't.
Meanwhile, Wendy is working on talking to the xenomorphs. She's trying to understand their language, and she's really getting into it. But her brother wants to get them off the island. However, everyone else he talks to is happy on the island. Wendy doesn't want to leave the island. His coworkers don't want to leave the island. Everyone's like, hey, this system that you're unhappy with, we're all happy with the trade-offs of this system. So later, Hermit asks Arthur if Wendy is safe, and Arthur tells him to get her off the island as soon as possible, he actually gives him a boat code with which to do so. So we'll see. Maybe the outcome is Hermit's able to successfully get Wendy off the island. I think that's a possible outcome, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like the arc of the Alien franchise has typically been that like the capitalist organization will destroy virtually everything and maybe barely leave you intact.
Are
So
we
it
about
could
to
go either way on that
establish
one.
sci-fi Jurassic Park? Like, is that where season 1 of Alien Earth ends? Is humans kicked off, let the alien little goobers like roam this little island and start proliferating?
That's interesting you say that, because in a mediation session between Yutani and Boy Cavalier, which I thought was highly entertaining,
Yes.
Boy agrees to give Yutani back the specimens for $20 billion on top of practical damages, but he has one major condition, which is that there's got to be a 6-week quarantine, obviously, as established by this thing called the Brubaker Accords. I didn't know the Brubaker Accords. I don't think are part of alien lore, so I didn't know if this is a reference to the legendary comic author Ed Brubaker. It felt like it could be. I don't know, but like, yeah, that was the thing that came to mind. However, what the existence of the Brubaker Accords implies is that this is not the first time this has ever been thought of. Of like, we're bringing alien specimens back to Earth, right? We're bringing specimens from another planet or meteor or whatever back to Earth. So whether or not it's actually happened before, who knows? But like, it's clearly something that this society has considered before. So we'll see. I'll just say, Patrick, I would be disappointed if these xenomorphs were running around, if these alien creatures were running around on this Prodigy Island at the end of the show. Just because, in my opinion, and other people can disagree, it just makes the idea of finding the xenomorph in a far off place in the original Alien kind of less cool and special. If, by the way, the whole time there's already a xenomorph just like running around already, literally like, contemporaneously, there's a xenomorph running around on Earth at that time.
But they're free. Like, the show is going to end with like soaring synths as this alien.
It's going to be the end of Jurassic World: Lost Kingdom, where the dinosaurs are starting to roam the Earth again.
As Wendy looks on, also going,
yeah.
I can't click like she does in the show.
But in the meantime, Yutani and Morrow have other plans on getting the xenomorph. Morrow plans to destabilize the facility and exfil into chaos, which I actually think is a really cool way of describing. He's gonna fuck some shit up at Neverland, which I'm actually looking forward to. That's gonna be really cool to watch if it happens. There's a cool scene in the elevator where Morrow and Kirsch kind of trade verbal blows with each other, which I thought was kind of cool.
It was good, and it was like two just like amazing actors, just like knifing each other rhetorically. But also I thought it was interesting because it's he at that point could reveal that he knows, like, I know that you're undergoing a sabotage effort within the facility.
Right. Well, we don't know that Kirsch knows, but I think it's by the end of this episode, it's pretty clear that Kirsch knows.
Yeah, Kirsch is like overhearing the conversations between.
That is what is implied. Yes.
Yeah. So and again, like multiple times, Kirsch is like looking at a tablet, like, well, creatures escape. Is everything cool? Like, everything's great. So you have these competing factions of people who are all trying to fuck this facility up in like one way or another. And mostly it makes me, I now spend a lot of time every episode, because I don't think it'll happen to the very end, but like, our little boy Genius is going to go out in just a really gnarly way. Like, is his eye going to be replaced by our little friend and like get puppeted around? Like, I could see that happening. And
we should start placing bets. We should start placing bets on how Boy Cavalier is going to die at the end of the series.
The eye has not appeared in a person yet, and I think
it has in the Morrow episode, in the Bagino episode.
That's right. But it makes
sense.
It got
into the engineer on the ship. Yeah,
it makes sense. I would like to see him puppeted. is how I feel, frankly. And so I'm rooting for the eye.
You're rooting for the eye
to
because what it did was it ripped out that guy's eye, and then actually we didn't see it rip out the guy's eye. We saw it rip out the sheep's eye. So, but presumably it rips out your eye and then kind of puts itself into your body.
Well, and I want to know more about how it functions biologically, because in this episode, the goat's being fed. Like, so the eye takes over the body, but then does it also just reassume the biological functions of the host creature?
Yeah.
Which has some really interesting implications if he could take advantage of this person with access to, who's 1/5 of running the world. It's a lot of power for a little eyeball.
But great point, Patrick, that Kirsch theoretically knows he's been listening on Amaro's conversation.
Right.
It's awkward when you've been listening on someone's conversation for the last week and then you got to bump into them in person and you just have to not
You've got
say
a big
anything.
speech in your head.
Yeah.
Because Kirsch has always got these one-liners. Maybe he looked at himself in the mirror and had what he wanted to say to Amaro and just he couldn't get it out.
Yeah. So on that note, Morrow wants Slightly to get someone to get face hugged, right? And Slightly has Hermit pegged for that. He's almost gonna get Hermit face hugged, but before that happens, turns out patrols are short of men, so Hermit needs to come along, and Hermit needs to leave and is thus saved from certain death. But Patrick, let's get to a new segment on the show I like to call extremely sloppy lab procedures at Prodigy / Utani, right? So there is a scene where Sylvia erases Nib's memories. And then later, Wendy talks to Nibs, but Nibs has no memory of any of the events that have happened the last week. And again, I have all these questions. If you are spending billions of dollars on this project, why are you not monitoring these people at all times? Why are you not at least prepping Wendy to say, hey, by the way, Wendy, Nibs, she might not remember some of the things we've done. It's really frustrating because it's these are extremely. I'm not saying, hey, Wendy can never talk to Nibs again, but you would at least have a conversation with Wendy to be like, hey, FYI, prepping you for the fact that Nibs might not remember some things, so don't make her feel weird about it, okay?
That seems logical, David.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, this leads to Wendy going on an existential spiral that really is the core of what the show is about, right?
Yes.
When Wendy confronts Dame Sylvia about this, she's like, hey, we're supposed to be human, but I'm starting to wonder if being human is good after all. If all humans do is mistreat each other and take things apart just to study them and so on and so forth. It's almost like, who are the real aliens, Patrick Klepek? Who are the real monsters?
That's profound.
In this equation? Yeah.
Never been asked before. Is humanity the real monster?
It's perhaps humanity. We think of the xenomorph as it's killing, it's got the acid blood. But really, who's the real monster in this equation, if you think about it?
Are we the baddies?
Isaac does more experiments on the alien creatures, but because of terrible Prodigy procedures, again, just sloppy procedures all around. Why is he fucking holding a door open with his foot? Really? You don't have anything more sophisticated than that? You literally a door stopper, a thing that I can buy for $3 at the Ace Hardware. You don't have that? Anyway, he gets trapped inside the room with one of these alien creatures, and it vomits acid all over his face, and it's actually a really, really horrifying death. That takes place in excruciating graphic detail. So I appreciated that. That's always fun. But
I actually bought the logic of the scene. This is one of the instances where the children in adult bodies, I think,
that's fair.
Allows the show to get away with a little bit more.
But then, would you leave the children in charge of? No. I guess the whole point is Kirsch. So what's cool is Kirsch is like David from Prometheus and Alien Covenant, in that he is also cool with humans meeting horrible deaths, and he's
also running a broader experiment. I don't think he has any attachment to these little adults, children adults. I think he is, by giving he doesn't trust this kid.
Yeah.
He's just allowing them, giving them power, and watching what happens, as a result. Like there were, we see in that exchange by the water, someone could have come with. None of this would have happened, but he wants to be the cool guy. He's being recognized by an authority figure. He looks up to this person. Like he feels like he's like acting like an adult. And kids do the stupidest shit when they're panicking. Like logic is out the window to a child when they are under profound like anxiety and stress. We were in when we were in France, we rented bicycles one day, and I had what they call a cargo bike. And so it's like basically a big bucket on an e-bike. And so that I could move and drive my 5-year-old because she's not proficient enough on a bike, nor could she go fast enough to keep up on the streets. My 9-year-old was on a bike. My wife was on a bike. And as my wife was in front, my 9-year-old was behind her. And then I took up the rear with the cargo seat. And navigating the Paris streets was very stressful. Like the speed and like the car bike culture is just different enough that there was a lot of stress in navigating that. And at one point we were crossing, and I always told my daughter, keep up with your sister or keep up with your mom. Like whatever happens, just follow her, even if we get separated due to traffic. And at some point a car basically tried to like sideswipe like my 9-year-old, and they stopped, didn't hit her, but we're in the middle of cars going everywhere. We're crossing a traffic area, and she just stops, freezes, unable, like all processing power from her brain drained as a result. And she is not that much younger than like some of the kids that are depicted on this show. And so I buy scenes like that. And I think it's actually clever on the show's part to sort of, how do you put people in bad like situations in which logic, the kind of that often happens in horror, is like, well, if you were in the situation, why would you do it that way? I think that was a scene in which I completely bought the panicked nature of the character in question and thought the setup of that character like bought in for the gruesome stuff that happens as a result. And then in addition to that, from what we understand, they don't feel pain. So he's just experiencing the melting of his face without any of like the nerve trauma that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Which I can't tell is better or worse. At least the pain would be a distraction from the fact that your face is melting.
I think it would be confusing. I think it would be confusing and unpleasant, but maybe not necessarily painful. I think it's a great point, Patrick, that Curse is just messing with things. And but I get this is an indictment not of Curse's running of the lab, but of just prodigy procedures overall. You should not have a single failure point like Kirsch in that situation. So, but hey, whatever. Arthur finds Isaac in the lab and then slightly traps him there, allowing him to be face-hugged, and then drags him into a vent to hide him from the alien creatures. It looks like all hell is about to break loose as we head into the final 2 episodes. So I'm excited. I have not seen past this point. I'm really excited to, and in general, by the way, other than episode 6, I do not watch past where we are in the show. So
it wasn't intentional to break code. Right. Usually when Dave and I watch shows, even if we get access to the screeners ahead of time, we may watch the next episode, like after recording the next episode immediately, just because we're interested, but we're broadly speaking, like sticking to what the audience is seeing. So we're not speaking ahead, but that makes your mistakes. So like, this isn't a spoiler show. So it's not like, you know what I mean? Like it's not that kind of show, but it's still very funny.
I will say there were a lot of things that were very difficult to understand. I was like, how is this guy like talking to this guy telepathically? Like, why are these adults acting like children? I don't fully understand that. Like, all this is going to be explained, I'm sure, though.
I watched it, the TV adaptation out of order, renting the VHS. It came on 2 VHS tapes. And
Stephen King's It, is that what you said?
Yes, and they were put into the Blockbuster like two tape holder incorrectly.
Nice.
Like tape 2 on the left hand side. We put that in, very confused about why are they in this cave and why is the creature a spider? I guess it'll all be explained later. Credits roll. Oh shit, we watched this in the wrong order.
All right, Patrick, any closing thoughts on Alien Earth episode 6?
I just can't wait to see where
Yeah.
it goes next.
I'm psyched.
A lot of Kirsch's, I wouldn't call them dominoes. Like, I guess if you were to think of them as dominoes, he's not like setting one up to hit another. He's just like setting one up and like flicking it with his finger and it's going somewhere. So I just kind of don't know where all of this ends up, except that I keep conceptualizing the closing shot of this being Wendy with an army, kind of like Chris Pratt had in like Jurassic World, like he can command the raptors. Like I expect the closing shot to be like Wendy with an army of xenomorphs and her clicking out of her mouth as she like boards a boat to head to the mainland or something.
I think they've got to stop making synths that feel like it's okay to experiment on human bodies. That's what I got to... It seems to be a running theme that all synths feel like they can run experiment. Lance Henriksen was an outlier, essentially, right? Other than Lance Henriksen, like if you have a synth supporting you, you got to be suspicious at all times.
Gotta be.
So you got to be. Hey everyone, David Chen here. Thank you so much for watching that video from Decoding TV. If you want to get an audio version of the show, all you got to do is go to podcast.decodingtv.com. And if you want to support what we do, get ad-free episodes of the podcast and also bonus episodes of the podcast, go to decodingtv.com and become a paid member. Of course, you can also like and subscribe for more. We appreciate it. Thanks. See you later.